insane. This is just absolutely insane. And I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But watch and see. This is it, folks. And we're only going to see things getting worse. Breaking. Just minutes ago, Walmart has made a shocking announcement that sent shockwaves, massive shockwaves throughout the entire community. And there are almost 5,000 Walmart stores out there. And this problem is spreading like wildfire. No pun intended. But just like you all said, there are hidden tunnels underneath these buildings, and they're building camps and hiding people and children inside and underground. And we talked about this before with the wildly popular tunnel girl on TikTok digging and excavating under her Virginia or DC home. But this is it's really getting kind of scary and alarming because in New York, just last night, you can see here more tunnels in Brooklyn. NYPD on the scene, and structural engineers worried and concerned that these secret underground tunnels are not permitted and are dangerous for both the people operating and traveling in secret through these, but also for the unsuspecting folks above. The risk of collapse and people dying is on high alert right now. But this is a very scary, scary problem happening right now at Walmart stores all across the US. And I've got to admit, 2024 isn't starting off by giving anyone that I know a warm and fuzzy feeling. And the scariest part is that these mega corporations and giant companies, they're not being held accountable for the dangers they facilitate and all the harm that they're harboring. Airplanes built by companies like Boeing, putting passengers at risk of what looks like a crazy scene out of a movie, and people panic and pray as they fear for their lives, hoping they don't get sucked out of the airplane and fall 30,000 feet to their death. But are these companies Well, guys, unfortunately, we just lost all power. I guess and the wind is picked up. Now, the tornado isn't necessarily on us here, but we did just lose power. I'm able to continue recording on my phone here, but I've lost all lighting. And yeah, hang on. So the current situation is we are now seeking shelter in an interior space since the wind has picked up and you can't even see outside the window. It's just sheets of rain.
Do you want to come? Okay.
Headed down 98 on the north side of New Allen Beach, Louisiana Road.
if you're excited or you saw that. Like once you leave, you can't get back in, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's on emergency power, so I don't know. You got your fob?
It's lit up. Yeah, I have my fob, but if you just want to stand there with the door open,
Okay.
right now. Come on.
So we're attempting to do a dog walk here so he can go use the bathroom. Because the rain has subsided a little bit and it's not as gnarly and sidewaysy, but it's definitely not better. And we don't have power. All we've got is emergency power, lighting. That's it. I guess the key fob still works, but I'll keep this door open just as a precaution.
Thank you. You forget how to run?
I say the good news is he's feeling better.
Oh yeah. Well, also he didn't have any of the normal food yesterday.
Oh yeah, that Purina stuff.
Yeah,
Is Beneful Purina?
it is. Well, the Purina Beneful healthy weight is what he's been eating. But yeah, it's Purina. But I didn't give him any of that yesterday on purpose, knowing that storms were coming through. I know you're having anxiety right now too. I have to touch you the whole time, Rosie's. It's okay, I promise. I promise it's okay. Okay?
Well, welcome back, folks. That was interesting to say the least. But if you want to know the full story, then go check out the video I put up earlier this morning that goes into detail, because we had quite an event this morning because we were in the middle of a tornado watch and tornadoes were touching down all around us. Regardless of that, we're going to pick up where we left off. And that was where people were getting sucked out of airplanes and falling 30,000 feet to their deaths. But are these companies being held accountable? That's the question. And the answer, in short, is no. And to make matters worse, we could see Chinese-built airplanes taxiing on the tarmac and speeding down the runway, taking off, flying high up in the air, and who knows what'll happen after that? Who knows what'll happen next? But get this. So the decision by Alaska Airlines to stop flying one of its planes over the Pacific Ocean to Hawaii due to warnings from a cabin pressurization system, yet keep flying it over land, is raising questions about whether the jet should have been in the air at all. And the nation's top accident investigator says that warning lights were triggered on 3 flights, including each of the 2 days before the brand new Boeing 737 MAX 9 suffered a terrifying fuselage blowout on Friday night. A plug covering a spot left for an emergency door tore off the plane as it flew 16,000 feet above Oregon, which is wild and crazy. Reports coming in not only of having found the emergency door that fell 16,000 feet to the ground. Fortunately, luckily, didn't land on anybody, but people's cell phones and other personal effects having flown out of the airplane and landing on the ground. And someone even mentioned how that had this flight been any higher and the in-flight service had been in process, how devastating of an event that could have been. Essentially, they were at a point in time in the ascent where everyone should have been seated and fastened or had their seatbelts fastened, and I believe that is the case. But if that weren't, then it would have been very, very devastating. And honestly, an extremely traumatic experience to see and watch someone sucked out of an airplane. But watch all these people on this flight. Can you imagine all the panic? But like I said, these giant companies are not being held accountable, and people are living in fear, at risk, and dying because of their greed and negligence. And what you see in the background of the video was actually Michelle and I up this morning, and she was up since about 3:45 a.m. and we were watching and tracking the tornadoes touching down all around us here. They canceled school because of this, and I am very glad that they did. It's extremely crazy, or at least it was. Go check out that video. And I talked about this in my video yesterday, so go check that one out too after this if you want to get a more connect more of the dots in this timeline where some folks were kind of like bent out of shape, like, oh, you said there was a tornado. Yes, I said there was a tornado watch, tornado alert. Please pay attention, folks. Read the title. Pay attention to the title and the thumbnail. There's more to it than meets the eye. You can't just get immediately triggered because it's not what you thought it was and claim that it was clickbait and my fault when honestly you just misunderstood it. Calm down. Calm down. Be patient, okay? Now, critical thinking, folks. Now, I think that we are going to be safe here and we're going to be okay. Things have calmed down a little bit. The sun's out. It's drying up outside. The wind's still howling a little bit, but I just think that's kind of the acoustics of the architecture here. And the rest of Florida was getting hammered. You guys have seen some of the footage on the videos. And it makes me think of the possibility of having to take shelter. And as you all have mentioned before in previous videos, at Walmart's, FEMA camps come to mind. But let me know. Leave a comment. Do you want me to bring you a follow-up video or maybe a live stream showing you all the damage that the tornadoes have caused around us? And honestly, I got to tell you guys that this is truly devastating and horrific. And I just hope that everyone is okay and are current on their homeowners insurance and car insurance too. But what does it mean when you see this happening at Walmart? Yeah, don't forget your receipt or else they won't let you leave the store and they will treat you like a criminal. But all these black crows swarming this Texas Walmart, that has to be a bad omen, right? And speaking of Texas, it looks like a bomb was dropped in this explosion that injured 21 people and others are still missing. And I think Texas was where they built a FEMA facility in an old abandoned Walmart building, right? They say that these are supposed to be safe places to protect us, but instead, I think they would rather imprison us. What about you? Now, a bad storm like this is a great excuse to issue a state of emergency and execute on martial law. But yeah, massive explosion in Dallas. And they said a 2-block area has been evacuated and the smell of natural gas persists in the downtown area. But yesterday, a crazy explosion happened, and it was like a dirty bomb was detonated at the Sandman Signature Fort Worth Hotel, according to reports suspected to be caused by a natural gas leak. Now, the explosion blew out at least 2 floors, injuring nearly 24 people, and the ATF and Fort Worth Fire Department are investigating with reports of ongoing construction in the building identified as a likely factor. The explosion resulted in 21 injuries with varying degrees of severity, but no fatalities have been reported yet. Emergency responders are on site and search and rescue efforts continued through the night, and the hotel's restaurant, Mazoom, reported no customers present during the explosion, but 3 employees were injured. The 2-block area surrounding the incident has been blocked off due to the persisting smell of natural gas. Atmos Energy was working to turn off the gas supply, and the Texas Railroad Commission is sending an inspector to the site as well. Now, the explosion damaged the historic W.T. Wagner building, constructed over 100 years ago and currently housing the Sandman Signature Fort Worth Downtown Hotel. But the cause of the explosion is yet to be confirmed, but the focus remains on the ongoing construction and a potential gas leak. Now, I hope that this wasn't some sort of terror attack or maybe someone who got fired with no notice and wanted to retaliate or something like that. But the injuries sustained are a tragedy and the cost of the damages will be great. Businesses are going to be destroyed and hopefully they have adequate insurance. But because these attacks keep happening, insurance premiums and policies are only going to continue to rise. And we're going to see spikes in premiums and premium price spikes, and they're going to be driving them up higher and higher and higher. And a follow-up to a video that Michelle and I brought to you at the end of last year, a teen charged with arson after she set the Walmart store on fire in Sparta, Wisconsin. And Emma Renee Smith admitted to setting fire to an artificial leaf on a shelf inside the Sparta store. But Fire Rescue One reported by Steve Rundillo and the La Crosse Tribune how a 17-year-old Sparta girl faces criminal charges in adult court, alleging she started a fire inside the Sparta department store December 26. Emma Renee Smith faces felony counts of arson, first-degree recklessly endangering safety, and criminal damage to property, and a misdemeanor count of disorderly conduct. According to the complaint, the fire started around 10:45 a.m. in Walmart's fabric and craft aisle. Video surveillance reportedly shows Smith in the area when the fire started, and the footage shows Smith taking different routes around the fire to see what happened before walking towards the exit. When she got outside, she stood alone with her hand over her face and appeared uncertain about where to go. Eventually, Smith walked to a blue SUV and drove away just as firefighters and police arrived. The complaint says surveillance photographs were shown to a school resource officer at Sparta High School who identified the suspect as Smith. Police contacted Smith at her Sparta address later in the day. The complaint says Smith's mother answered the door and summoned Smith, who was visibly nervous and shaking as she came down the steps. Smith acknowledged her presence at Walmart, but originally denied starting the fire. She told police she heard someone yell, "Fire!" and stopped to take video before telling people to go and get away from the area. She showed police 2 short video clips of the fire, and she told police that she felt bad about shooting video instead of leaving immediately. Upon further questioning, Smith reportedly admitted to starting the fire, and she told police she lit a green artificial leaf that was on a shelf about waist high, and she said she panicked and fled without telling anyone after she saw how quickly the fire burned the leaf and reached the ceiling. She commented several times about how fast the fire spread, and Smith told police that she drove from Walmart to a nearby convenience store, went inside of a restroom, and cried. She said she made a second stop at a retail shop where she is employed before returning home. She then made a short trip to a grocery store, returned home, and remained there until police arrived. When asked why she started the fire, she reportedly replied that she wasn't thinking straight and couldn't help herself. She told police that she has had issues with impulse control. Smith apologized to police numerous times and said that she would pay for the damage. The complaint says Walmart estimates the damage at $7.6 million. An electronic billboard says that the store is closed until further notice and that no traffic is allowed in the store parking lot. Smith is free after her mother posted a $5,000 cash bond. Conditions include GPS bond monitoring, no possession of anything that can start a fire, and house arrest except for work, treatment, and attending school. She has an initial court appearance set for January 29. This is some wild and crazy stuff, folks. Please stay safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay smart and stay tuned for the latest drama that is unfolding and everything that you need to know. Hurry up and get ready, folks. Prepare and stock up now. Please smash that like button and subscribe. I'm trying to reach 100,000 subscribers. Thank you all for your love and continued support. Stay frosty, friends, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
I can tell you my problems, meditating my silence, but I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go follow, all the fake friends gon' pop.